Hi, guys. Welcome to a brand new episode of History of a Haunting. This week, we have one of our dearest friends. We're doing a chat with Julie Griffin, and Julie is a spirit photographer and psychic medium. Everybody, please welcome Julie Griffin.
Hey, Julie.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for being on History of a Haunting. We're super excited to have you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, guys, we met Julie for the first time when we had done our investigation of Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum back in May of this year. And she's a psychic medium, she's an author, spirit photographer, and paranormal investigator with the intent of capturing more evidence. Now, her interest in the paranormal has been lifelong, growing up in two actively haunted houses. Julie, I'm going to need to hear more about that. What made living in the haunted houses different is the activity was during the day, which made that a curiosity and not scary, simply becoming the personality of the house. And I love that because a lot of homes do have a specific personality. Now, there have been many personal experiences and, of course, stories to tell. The photos began in 2009 after a very intense interaction that she had in Gettysburg. Now, in April 2011, she began seeing, quote, dead people. It took many years to understand, accept, and develop this new ability. With the help of classes and the help of other mediums, she became public with this gift, giving readings and understanding to what the afterlife can be like. Julie also gives lectures and PowerPoint presentations on her many photographs, plus explaining her techniques with taking pictures. What makes the photographs even more unusual is that most are taken in the daytime, making them clear and easy to see what is going on in them. Her book, Ghostly Photographs, is a compilation of the stories and locations behind the photos. They are ghost stories that you can see with your own eyes. And Julie, I am so excited to talk about all of this with you.
Thank you.
So, I think I think our first question is so you got involved with the paranormal because you lived in two actively haunted houses, but how specifically did you get involved with spirit photography?
Well, that began literally in January of 29. I'd kind of gone through what you would call a life change in
Okay.
2008, and I just wanted something new in my life. I found a meetup group that was an investigation group about an hour from my house because
Oh, okay.
I'd been listening to a lot of podcasts the end of 2008 just to get familiar with the field, the people, and just to learn.
Okay.
So, and I very much, it was very clear to me there's the right way and the wrong way to go out and do this.
Yes.
So I joined up with this group, and to my amazement, the first night investigation I went with them in April, I came back with good shots.
Really?
And then
Oh, wow.
in May, I went down to Gettysburg and got an incredible series outdoors about 11:30 in the morning.
Oh.
Those are all on my website. They're titled Gettysburg Farmhouse because I can't really disclose where the location is
Oh,
per
okay.
se, um, but it might be recognizable to most, and it was the simplest way to call it, just to title it and such.
Sure.
And now all this is happening, and I've been doing it for less than 6 months, so it's kind of blowing my mind with what I'm catching. And is this real? Is anybody going to believe it's real?
Yeah.
And well, I had a hell of a first year through 2009 with a lot of crazy, crazy captures. It just exploded on me. And
Wow.
of course, well, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I got out quite a bit, and it continued through 2010.
Okay.
And I've got all these photos, and it's like, what am I going to do with them? I never had planned to write a book, but it's like, how do I share
Yeah.
these and really talk about where I was, what it was like? Sometimes, you go on an investigation, it can be pretty mundane. And then
Yeah.
sometimes there's stuff that happens. It's like, you know what, if I tell this, nobody's going to believe me.
Yes.
And there's one of those moments in the book too that I thought long and hard about even putting this in because it's like, no, they're either not going to believe me or think I'm batshit crazy. One of the two.
Right.
So, but you know what? It's in there.
Well, that's great. That's great. Now, the book's website is ghostlyphotographs.com, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And
All right.
I've got quite a few samples up there, a sample chapter, but there's a lot of photos, and I like showing what my photos look like because they're taken in daylight. Easily 90% of my captures
Yeah.
are taken either I found 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30 in the morning, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I've caught very little um, after 10 p.m. Very, very little.
And I think I love that because I don't think I know that most people think that ghosts only come out at night. A lot of investigations, certainly the ones that Laura and I do with Southern Entities Paranormal with Chris Allgood and Audra Keeler, is at night. Most of
Right.
the investigations you do, like our Trans-Allegheny investigation, some of these locations that you can pay to have private access to, are overnight. But ghosts don't. That's not like we sleep during the day and we only come out at night. That's not how it works. But yet
Right.
that's just sort of like the general accepted stereotype of
Right.
hauntings.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, and just
and
like
this,
when we were in Gettysburg and we had experiences during the day, right?
Yeah, we
Broad
did.
daylight had experiences. So,
good.
and I think that particularly Gettysburg kind of stands out to me as a place that everybody knows that stuff happens all day long,
Yeah.
And a lot of people have experiences during the day, which is just a cool place.
I mean, yeah.
But it seems, it's nonstop. So yeah, it really don't get quite that same stereotype, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's
Places, yeah.
important for people to know that you've got so much time during the day to go out and just walk around buildings and just check out other locations. It doesn't have to be formal investigations. Just go and spend time and explore. And that's how I've had all kinds of luck finding stuff and catching
Well,
stuff
that's
and
cool.
taking literally tens of thousands of photos. But that's the beauty of digital.
Yes.
Right?
The days of film, I couldn't do what I do, but
Yeah. Yeah.
hooray for digital.
Yeah, for sure. Laura, what's your question for Julie?
Hold on one second. Sorry. I'm losing stuff here. So how would you define like spirit photography? And what makes you have such a passion for it, do you think?
For me, it's something, in my case, it kind of fell into my lap. When I
Mm,
started learning how to investigate, I'm not real tech savvy, but I had a new camera and I knew how to use that. So when we went out, and I'm doing stills, and everybody else has their recorders, their EVPs, their video cameras. And when I go out, it's rare that I find anybody else, even after all these years, that is just using a still camera.
That's
And
true.
that's what works for me. And that's what I've stayed with. That's what I've had my luck with. That's what I feel good doing. It's what I like to do. But I kind of fell into it. And it was all the success, that really is why I tied into it. And it's kind of been my thing. And
That's
it's kind of
wonderful.
fun having something that's, you know, unique.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's as far as like, it's basically what it sounds like. You're just like photographing spirits. Cause obviously, you can't be like, okay, go stand over there. They're not going to like be like cheese kind of a thing. So it's basically spirit photography is just exactly that. Like you're just kind of going into a location that maybe has a history of hauntings. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just happen to stumble upon that. And you're capturing spirits in a photograph, correct? That's just the crux of it, right? Or
When I'm in a location, um, it's like looking at something with a soft view,
okay.
and any area that gets my attention and the tiniest bit, that's where I'm going to take pictures. You always take three in a row because energy moves and changes as it manifests.
Right.
I've had quite a few occasions that I've gotten something in all three photos, and I'm sorry for the cat in the background, but my
That's
roommate's
okay.
cat has broken into my office now, and she's closet to get in, and it's like, suck it up, kitty. Okay, I'm
It,
just gonna.
I totally thought it was Laura's cat because her cat does that too.
Oh,
My
I
cat breaks into my
Oh,
office. He gets up on his hind legs, and I have those lever handles, and he pulls it down and breaks in. Yeah.
Yep.
So you'll hear
we're
my
gonna walk
puppy and the
around.
cat.
So yeah, it's just like I'm gonna ignore Kitty. We're gonna get bored eventually and go on our merry way unless.
Everyone's welcome in
It's
Cervantes.
just the plan at the moment. So, but
Right.
that's we broke into the office. I thought the door was closed well enough. Okay, and she's gone. Okay, good.
Okay.
So just kind of we get our little strange noises and just like that's all it is. So
Right.
but anyway, as I ramble in another direction. Ask me the question again.
So like spirit photography, like what,
Yes.
like you were talking about, like you're in a location and then you just get, I want to take a picture of this,
Right.
or yeah.
It's an instinct. And think about walking into a room and your cat or dog is just staring at the wall. And there's obviously, to our eyes, there's nothing there, but something's got their attention. It's that kind of a feeling, of a sense.
Okay.
And depending on the location that I'm at, I will talk to them. Whenever you go on the website and look at the ones that say a Gettysburg farmhouse, I knew that the house had recently been repointed. It's a beautiful, beautiful old house.
Yeah.
There had been some filming done on the hundreds of acres on the property.
Oh, okay.
So they'd done all this work, and it was gorgeous. And it also had a double-decker porch, and I love porches.
God,
I just
me too.
got a thing for porches.
Me too.
And I just spent time because I'm a guest, and I'm going to be a good guest. I'm at their home.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking at thin air, and I know a lot of times that's all I am. But this time, there's some shots that were on the second level, and there's some of my favorites, where you just see a mist,
Okay.
but it moves in the 3 different shots.
Yeah.
And what is really special about it is first off, it's taken at about 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And you can see from the roof line that there is direct sunlight on it, and it's in shadow. I mean, direct sunlight. And there's a
Yeah.
little bit of a rainbow effect in it.
Sure,
So
okay.
there's moisture.
Yeah.
Leaves you with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
So you just go in polite and you take a lot of photos. I
Yeah.
think I did kind of a rough, insane count. By the time I did the book, I had done like 50,000 photos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But when you're going somewhere and you're shooting 3 at a time,
Yeah.
it's not hard to get off 100 shots an hour.
No,
It's
it's really not.
No.
not at all.
Yeah.
So
I think when we did Trans Allegheny that night, because I was using all kinds of equipment, right? I was using the EVP recorders, I was using the cameras, but primarily for pictures, I was using my phone. And I think that night I had 700 photos
good.
that I had taken. And because that's something that Tony and Cherie and Chris and Audra, they trained me as a paranormal investigator. And that's something they trained me on early on, is to take photos 3 in a row, like one right after the other. And so I have at least 10,000. When I get a new phone, I always have to get the max size phone because I have like 10,000 photos on my phone of investigations that I have gone on. So
Good.
yeah.
That's
all right.
how you catch them. That's how it takes a lot of volume, and that's how it works. I would say it's about 1 in 1,000
Yes.
is an average of when you get a good capture.
Yeah, yeah. And so my niece Emma had come with us to Trans Allegheny, and you had been talking about that, take 3 in a row. And, I can't remember like what the conversation was, but she remembered that. And so we were down in the Civil War section, and it was super dark. I had gone and set my REM pod in a doorway. And she was like, all right, let's just take a picture. And so she took 3 in a row, and the middle picture, she captured something. And not only did the middle picture, she captured something, but she turned it black and white she flipped it to black and white filter like you told her to do. And that's when she had captured a shadow in the dark doorway.
Yes.
So to us, it was just inky black as far as the eye could see. But she did, and she was like, Auntie, look at this. When we were on one of our breaks, because we were there for hours. She was like, look at this. And I went, oh my God, Emma. Yeah, so... Yeah, it's so now that's something that she remembers. And when she goes with me on future investigations, that's like a tip that she is always going to use because of you.
And it's an easy one to do.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
That's the other nice thing. It's easy and quick.
Yes, it is. So you know what, guys, we have a lot to show you tonight. And for our audio listeners, Laura and I really, 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 really want you to take a moment and watch this episode on our YouTube channel. Because we have some really fantastic, spirit photographs that Julie has captured that we would definitely hate for you guys to miss. So while you're listening to us in the car on a road trip, that's great, or in the office, awesome. But if you get a chance, come watch the show on YouTube because you don't want to miss these photographs. So we're going to start showing them now. Now, Julie, you emailed me 10 pictures and you asked me to present them in the order that you emailed them to me, in the order that I got them in the email, right?
Yeah, the numbered order, yeah.
The numbered order. Okay. So this is the first one, and I'm going to just kind of go through each picture and then you let us know what's going on in that picture. Cool?
You got it. You
Okay.
got it.
All right, here we go. Here's the first one. And I hope this is the right one. No, I'm like, what if I put him in the wrong order? Okay, hang on.
We'll make it work. All right. Here's a really great example of a photo that you can see there's something going on, but it's dark. All right.
Right.
Now, you can go and see a shape, but it's not great, okay? Now, if you want to go on to the next one,
Okay.
it's going to show you that's what happens. That photo was turned to black and white. Again, I want to share this technique. Look at the detail that is now popped. Look at the detail of the bedding. Look at the outline of this woman that is looking down at the bed.
Yeah.
You can even go and see the cross hatching from the window on the door, because all we're getting is exterior light.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at the Slater Mill, next to Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And I had such a strong feeling to just curl up in this bed, just to get in it and get in a fetal position. I mean, it was super intense. It would have almost been worth doing it and getting thrown out. That's how intense the feeling was, all right?
Wow, okay.
And to go and get this photo afterwards of a woman looking down on this bed, which in my belief is that she is looking down on a very sick or potentially dying child. Because that's how I felt, just curl up in a little ball, but
Yeah.
she's looking down. But
Yeah,
this is how
that's
dramatic, changing it just to black and white, maybe playing a little bit with brightness and contrast, but you haven't got to do a lot. That's
right.
all you need to do. And wow, look at now what you've got.
Yeah. Let's look at that original picture again real quick. Hang on.
And that is an amazing difference.
Isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, because you
I'm
can
amazed,
kind of
yeah.
make out her head. You certainly can't see much detail in the bed and certainly nothing on the door. But in the
Right.
next one, look at that. You can
Right.
you can see kind of bangs, like she's got bangs.
It's either bangs or I'm thinking maybe
Maybe
it's-
a bonnet?
She has a mop cap on.
Okay. Yeah, like a
That time period. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm thinking. But we're just making educated guesses. That's
right,
what
right. You can see like the blanket is a quilt. It's quilted pattern.
yeah. And
There's
she's
maybe a
obviously
doll on the bed.
the bed. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. This is so amazing.
Yeah, big difference.
Big
That's
difference. Yeah. And like you said, just real simple little tweaks.
Yeah.
Nothing, you don't have to, have taken, photography or film classes for however many years to like know how to do this. Just real simple little adjustments to the photograph. Yeah, I love this. This is really cool. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And I believe this is. Yes.
All right, so nothing going on in this one. Um, it helps when you've got a photo without because it's going to make when we see it really pop. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this orangey color, I'm working with available light. It's about 10:30 in the morning. I am in Gettysburg.
Okay.
I am in the Dobbin House. is
Oh,
a is a wonderful old building. It's from 1776. It's the oldest standing building in Gettysburg, as far to my knowledge. And down on the lower section, they've got what's called the Springbrook Tavern. And I always make a point to eat there at least once or more. The
really?
food is just that fabulous. You got to have the French onion soup. It's just the best in the world. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm doing it's a Sunday morning about 10:30, and they do just a free walk through the house type of tour. All right, so that's my there's nothing there photo. So now go to the next one and watch what appears.
Okay. Whoa.
Surprise!
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the value of having the multiple shots, but I've got a full body apparition, and you can see her movement because it's lower light, so it's a longer exposure.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the white kerchief around her shoulders. Yeah, her head has a long motion to it, but you can also see where it stopped
Yeah.
in exposure. You can see an actual face, but you can see the torso. And as what I've encountered with most of these photos, you rarely see anything below the knees.
Yeah.
That's just how these are, but you've got the full body there. So if you want to pop back one and let them see the photo without, real quick, and then the one with.
Okay, let's see.
Now,
But
Julie,
see
I have
how
a question. So, when you were there, you didn't see this with the naked eye, right?
No, but boy, did I feel something in that corner. There's
Okay.
Springbrook Tavern. There's water that still comes into that corner out of a pipe into a bowl. And I always lag behind in the tours because my experience has been to stay behind because the spirits tend to stay behind too. And I'll shoot behind me and around me, but I had such an intense feeling on this corner. And I took some more shots because off to the right, well off camera, are stairs to go up and to follow the tour because they're all gone. I'm still lingering behind. I and this is one of those lesson learned moments. I so badly wanted to go over and just touch the water where basically in that same corner that she is and then
Okay.
catch up with the tour. I didn't do it. Who knows what my experience might have been? I
Yeah.
may have walked into her. She may have still been there. She may not have. But when I saw these photos, it's like, you're thinking, oh, I should catch up with the group. It's like, no, I missed a potential opportunity. And that's one of those lesson learned moments because I could feel something
Yeah.
in that corner so intently.
God. You know
And
what's
yeah,
interesting is that most people think that apparitions are just they're translucent. You can see through them, and a little bit in this one you can. However, I noticed from this first one, you can see the handle of whatever this cart is here by this table. You can see it kind of. It looks like a handle, sort
yeah,
of.
up against the wall. Yeah,
Yes, but then when you've got the picture of her, she's blocking that completely out.
yes.
You can't see it anymore. So that's a little bit more of a corporeal. That's fascinating. And the fact that you didn't see her with your naked
No,
eye at the time.
no. Anything that I've caught in my photos over all these years, I have never seen it with my eyes. Everything is being shot on instinct or luck, honestly. A
Wow.
lot of a lot of instinct. And a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just get a strong feeling, and I got
This
rewarded for this one.
this is utterly remarkable. Laura, so Laura, as you've listened to the show, you know Laura is sort of like the show's skeptic, but I
Uh-huh.
think she's starting to lean a little bit more towards a believer. Laura, what is your She's had a lot of.
This one is this is pretty hard to argue with. This is
Yeah.
I mean, particularly, of course, too, because as we know, right, take the 3 photos, like you see right before, you can see the action in here. Like you said, it's translucent, but not, right? There's definitely definition. There's definite blocks of like color and,
Yeah.
body, it's very, for being an image that's moving, it's still really clear.
It
What's
is.
happening here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that this is a somebody who's at an older adolescent, because in colonial times, no adult woman would ever have been caught without a hat on. There's no hat. There's no cap. She's. So this is why I'm thinking. And if you look at her, there's no shape. The front of the body looks straight. Pre-puberty type of thing. So, and the Dobbins, they were both widows. They married, and between the two of them, they had 15 kids.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of kids in the house, and the clothing does match the late 1700s.
Yeah, you can almost kind of see like her hair, and then like the
brown
back of
hair.
it,
Yeah.
brown hair, like maybe some bangs, and then the back of it kind of curls. You can kind of see this is
Yeah. And probably be tied back.
yeah. Yeah, this is really remarkable, Julie. Holy crap.
That's a great picture.
I know, right? God, you know what? Julie, I will say that I have seen these next pictures coming up because I saw when you were on Entity Voices.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have seen these pictures, but Laura hasn't, and I'm super excited for her to see them. Okay, so, all right, here is the next one. Here we go.
Okay, now this shot, there's nothing going on, all right? But I am in the basement of the Conjuring House in Harrisville, Rhode Island. I took a day tour with a couple of girlfriends, and they are in a room off to the right. You can't see the door; it's off the shot. But I'm just shooting down the hallway. Nothing happening here, and it's 10 minutes of 2 in the afternoon. All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you can kind of see like a little bit of daylight through the slats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
available light. So let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Now there's something happening on the right side.
Right.
Something has appeared.
Yes.
Um,
And this picture is just as clear as the first picture. So, I mean, it's just, you can see far down the basement, you can see that little stool there. You can see everything is clear. You can see the pipes running through and some of the wiring. It's not a blurry picture. That's the only thing that's blurry that I can see.
The thing is, you can see defined edges of blurriness too. So it clearly stops, and then it's clear on the other side. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And-
not
and
like
thank you for
gradually
pointing that
fading.
out.
It's sharp.
because that's all part of it. It shows that most of the picture is clear and sharp as it was in the first one, with the exception of what's on the right. So go to the next picture, and I have a crop of just what there are anomaly, apparition, whatever you want to call it is.
Okay.
But you can see that I've got that white streak at the bottom. That's pure energy.
Uh-huh.
And the light brown, it's reminiscent of hair. You've got a solid black area, potentially body. I don't know. All I can do is make educated guesses.
Yeah.
But there is something there, and you can't really see through it. A little bit at the base of what I would call hair.
Yeah.
The tan area, for lack of a better word, you can see a little bit through that. And there's been no adjustments to these photos except the crop. I've done nothing with contrast, with brightness. I've left them as is. I didn't need to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at the first one. Let's see.
Sure.
Yeah, see, I mean, it is a little bit blurry on this whatever activity is going on the right. It's a little bit blurry, but if it were because of the camera movement or whatever, it would all be that way, at least certainly down this whole right side of the photograph.
Right. And
Right.
sometimes that little bit of blur that's near your anomaly can just be this the energy field that's happening,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and it can, we've had a huge something very specific appear, something that you can actually look at and say it's not just a blur. There is
Right.
something there, or
There's
someone
something,
there.
or yes,
Right.
exactly. Because like you
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what? Let me go back to the very first picture. I'm trying to kind of gauge. So we've got one panel, two. All right, let's see.
Right.
Yes. So this, where I pointed out the sunlight through this opening on the right,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
this blocks that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my God. All right. Laura, I'm gonna just keep referring to you for your reaction to these photos. So go ahead, and what are your thoughts on these?
Well, again, you can, like Julie said, you can't really. It's not super defined, but there is definitely something there. And like I was kind of saying earlier, that it's not all blurry or streaky. Like it's
Right.
actually very clear, except for that one bit
Area.
on the side,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. Almost like something brushed by, moving real quickly. You know.
Right. Yeah. Like kind of trying to like turn out, maybe not trying to not be photographed and try to get out of there quick. She
Yeah,
caught him
trying to go into
anyway.
that room to the side there where you were saying like the light was coming through in the first one.
Yeah.
Something, but yeah, it's a very interesting photograph for
I
sure.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, these are great.
So guys, if you were wondering, what the real life Conjuring house looks like, there you go. Now you know what the basement looks like. All right. So the next one, let's go ahead and show this next one.
Oh yeah. And it gets crazier. Now, I took more than my 3 shots because I saw the blur, okay? I don't spot the anomalies. It's rare that I go and see them as I'm taking the photos because I'm taking them as they're all single shots and as quickly as the camera will allow them. Now, what I noticed on this one when I was taking was that it blurred. Now, that can mean that the camera just wasn't able to focus. Whatever it was focusing on down the hallway, it it blurred.
Right.
Or you've got energy going on. Well, boy, have we still got something going on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look down, um, that stool has an extra set of legs now.
Whoa.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, it almost looks like there's
It
something down there at the end.
well, it's called. There's a lot of the blur is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all the energy is really shifting, but this hand, and you'll see why I call it a hand, and the colors, I have never ever caught colors like this.
I've never seen colors like this in a
Mm-hmm.
spirit photograph. The
Well,
white in the first ones that we showed, I've seen that plenty of
yeah,
times.
and I,
Right.
yep,
But this, no, and it does look like fingers.
well, go to the crop,
Yeah.
Okay.
and and there's more to point out. All right, it's just that the colors are crazy.
Look
I've
at
never
those.
Yeah, it's like
I've never
electric.
caught anything. Now there's something else in this photo that's also never happened before. There's a shadow on the wall,
That looks like a face.
but you've got that dark area
Uh-huh.
on the wall. I'm thinking it's a shadow. Again, they're only educated guesses that it's a shadow from the hand.
Oh
But
my God.
yes, but if you go back to the other shots, and also if you look a little ways past it, look at how everything has gotten wavy. What should be straight, what was straight in earlier photos, now has a little bit of a wiggly
It's
wave
kind
to
of
it.
warped. Yeah.
Right. This is what energy can do. I've got some photos that I've had energy that I've photographed that have gone into complete spirals.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
let's look at that
this one is just
first.
so,
This is
it's just, the colors are what blow my mind. I've never even seen this anywhere else. And the room that everybody was in as the tour was continuing, the door is off camera.
Right.
So this would have been coming through the wall because they can.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
let's
this
see.
was taken in June. This is my most recent capture.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see this last photo.
And that's the photo after. That's
And
why.
nothing.
And it's because I saw the blurs that I decided to take extra photos. So that's something I'm now recommending. If you noticed it's out of focus, keep taking pictures until you at least end with one in focus.
Okay.
And you can also look down at that stool halfway down, and it looks normal now. There is not an extra set of legs on it. And all those beams and everything, they're straight, as they
Yeah.
should. But again, this is the value of those nothing shots because it makes the ones with something so much stronger.
This is so
And there's no
remarkable.
mark on the wall. There's no dark mark on the wall.
There's not.
That could have just been there. That might have created what I think is a shadow,
Yeah.
which I've never seen before. From an anomaly and apparition, it's really hard to go and put an exact name on it. But there's nothing there. It looks pretty much identical to the very first shot.
It does. Let's take a look at that one. Yeah. That is something.
And all these were taken as quickly as the camera would have let me do it. So the entire series probably took 3 seconds to shoot.
Wow, really?
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's just as soon as the camera allows me. 'Cause
Yeah.
Some people like to work with bursts. I never have, so I just simply stick to what has worked for me.
Okay.
So as soon as the camera's ready to go and take the next one shot, one shot, one shot.
Okay.
But yeah,
This is
It's about
remarkable.
it's about 3 seconds. It's that quick
That
that they're
quick.
there and they're gone.
God, I love this. This is really, really remarkable. And you know what, Julie, you had mentioned that, when you first started doing, you captured your first photograph that you were hooked. And that's kind of how this whole
Yeah.
thing is, right? Like the very first paranormal investigation I went on was when Tony and Cherie and Chris and Audra were doing their tours of Phelps Dodge. And my cousin and I went for 2 hours. They gave us recorders. We did the tour. A couple days later, Tony emails me and he was like, hey, this is what you captured. And it was an EVP. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And that from then
Yeah.
on, you just
Yeah.
want more and more and more and more and more.
Yes,
Ron
me too.
Iacovetti, I love him so much. He likes to refer to it as a drug. And it kind of is. Like you just want to
Well,
get
yeah,
more captures. Yeah.
it's got its own kind of high. It really does. When you go and hear that capture, it's like, oh my God, it was so worth sitting there for 5 hours in the cold, with my hands freezing. I really got to pee. I really want a cup of coffee, but I'm not moving yet. And you
Yeah.
know what?
Absolutely.
That's your moment. It's like, that's why we go back and do it again and do it again. And
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
Laura, do you agree with that? Because I know that there have been a number of times that you have had things happen that you can't explain. Do you agree with us? Like you just want to go to the next investigation to see what else might happen? Or what is your thought on that?
Yeah, well, you see me at the investigations. I'm always wandering off to whatever, kind of like what Julie was
Just
talking about. Like if I have an
constantly.
inclination to go see what's over here, or I'm curious as to what's over here,
Yeah.
that's where I go. I just wander around.
Yes.
I kind of do what Julie's talking about. I take pictures. I'll record. And Carrie's always like, "Where's Laura? Where's Laura?"
Constantly.
But
Where's
yeah,
Laura?
I kind of wander, and it is super fun. I'm always looking forward to the next investigation. I have the best time. Yeah, and regardless, how cold and tired and you're ready to go home and your feet hurt, you're tired of climbing stairs, whatever it is.
Or if it's super hot and muggy and just
Yeah, you're
raining and
just sweating.
humid, it's awful.
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and then you get those, not just, it is fun. The people that do this are fun. We always have a good time. The process of it is a good time. But yeah, when you get home and you get those little nuggets of reward, it's like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? Really cool. Especially, for me being a skeptic, when I've been there, like, I know for sure that is legitimate, right? I'm not questioning the authenticity of it because,
Yeah.
I was there when it happened, or it happened to me, or, and it really brings home, I guess, the idea that there is something else out there, but it's hard to believe it, when you see it on a TV show, right? Is that real? Or are they just making it up? What's
Well, yeah.
happening? But when you go and you trust the
Of course.
people that you're with, and then, you all get together and kind of share what everyone captured, and you're like, man, I was in the room when that happened. That's crazy. Or something that happened that I heard, I'm like, Zach, did you hear that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Because the two of us are like, doing
Yeah.
what Julie does, hanging in the back, like having weird
Yeah.
stuff happen. So it's, yeah, it is a good time. And it does, yeah, absolutely kind of turn into a drug. I'm not even somebody who, believed in ghosts at all until, and I'm still, of course, I think, some of it is, can definitely be
Explained.
yeah, some of it can be explained. Some of it's, people kind of trying to make it something that it's not, or embellishing, stories, etc. But there have definitely been, like these photos. You can't explain these photos, and they're amazing, and the detail is so crisp that you can't say that this is, a shadow, or what I mean, a light just light peeking through, this or what have you.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
What light looks like a woman with a
Yeah.
shawl on? I'm sorry, I've never seen
Right,
light do
and
that,
moves.
but it moves. Yeah.
And moves.
Yeah.
Consistent movement. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, these are amazing. But yeah, it's really
But it's
cool
important
to
to
see,
have people like
good
you,
stuff.
Laura. You're open-minded skeptics, and we need that in the field. We need the open-minded skeptic who's going to say, "Okay, maybe, but let me go and look at this really hard. Let me go and think of all the possibilities that could make this a natural occurrence." That's important. So,
Yeah.
your feedback, your take on that, that's part of what I think keeps the field healthy, for lack
It
of a better word. It's
Yeah,
important.
it keeps it in check. It keeps, because it's
Yes.
very easy to, especially with, the reputable paranormal investigators like we are. It is still very easy to have an experience that everybody's like, well, I don't know what that was. Like, that is a legitimate experience, and then kind of be on that excitement and be thinking that the next thing is also a legitimate. So it's necessary for, like you said, the folks like Laura to be like, okay, well, hang on now. Not everything. Like, we can get so excited about an experience and then just be like, oh, let's go to the next thing. And like, just kind of not purposely, but just sort of be a little ahead of ourselves and wanting
You
like
get a little
the
carried
next.
away because
Yes.
it's exciting.
Mhm.
I mean,
It's
it happens.
exciting.
It's happened to
It
me
is.
too. You know what I mean? You're kind of, you get pumped up, and especially when you're in a group too, because then it's almost like a mob mentality. You know what I mean? And not, I don't mean this in a negative way, but just like you're kind of like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, and feeding off each other's like excitement and
Mhm.
energy, and ready for the next thing. And it is so exciting, when things happen. Like, it's really, even if it's not you, or you happen to be coming across a room or something and stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Like I said, it's very exciting.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I agree. You can easily get carried away. Anybody can get carried
Anybody.
away.
Yeah.
It's like, skeptics like me get carried away. So I can only imagine diehard believers, are like, yes, but I'm on.
Yeah.
They're halfway to, ghost town already.
1,000%.
Hold on,
Like,
hold on.
yeah, but I get so excited. Yeah, like people, I am a diehard believer. I have been since I was a child, and there is nothing that anybody is going to say to get me to believe that there is not life after death. I have seen it. I've experienced it. I know that. But Laura's right. Like, I can tend to get too carried away if I'm so excited about something. And we need people like her. We're not trying to be phonies. We're not trying to be like everything's paranormal. But like she said, you know, we can get carried away. We can get excited and you know, we can kind of, especially like she said, when we're in a group and everyone's all excited and we're like, let's go to the lobotomy recovery room. That's got to be horrible and awful. And it turns out it was.
Yes.
You know, so but yeah, so it's a healthy balance of I'm not going to be satisfied until I make her a diehard believer, but I love that she is not there yet because we keep each other kind of level. So
It's
yeah.
a balance.
It's a balance. It's a very good symbiotic relationship, and I think every paranormal team should have a skeptic on
Yeah.
on it.
Yes.
I
Right.
really do. I really do. They're important and they're necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
We're Senorita No Funds.
right. Yeah. Um, so now, in addition, Julie, to you being this amazing spirit photographer, you are also a psychic medium. And I guess my first question for you with regard to that, we're going to shift gears a little bit, guys. What are your specific abilities and when did you come into them?
Well, that's all part of the story because the photos began in early 2009,
Okay.
and I was in Gettysburg at an event in April of 2011 and had a very intense, kind of difficult experience on an investigation.
No.
And the day after, I started seeing dead people.
Really?
And it was kind of unnerving when I went out for the next night's investigation. I'm seeing them, and it's like outlines or minimal, or they're not really moving much, but it was a whole nother level. Something had changed. It was kind of a scary experience
Okay.
that happened. Um, there's a house called the Eisenhower House, and it was on the property of where we stayed of this big resort.
Okay.
And we'd gone into the basement. Now, I'd heard stories about this one room in the basement, and where they'd seen a black mass, come in and out of the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
So I was waiting until we got to that room. Now, what was weird about it is that it had had a new concrete floor poured that must have been at least a foot thick,
Oh,
which
okay.
makes no sense to me.
No.
So you had this big step up to get in. Well, I decided I'm going to sit right there, right in the doorway. It's a great place to sit. Okay? Yeah, yeah. So everybody else is sitting in a circle with the couple that were running the investigation and doing another EVP session. And, she's going, look at the windows. And you get that little bit of light that comes in basement windows.
Right.
And you would watch the window go dark and then light. Then the next one would go dark and light. And there is something going around the room. Now, I'm kind of sitting side saddle. And as this is coming around, now, if I kind of get nervous or edgy at an investigation, you just kind of go and, throw up a little extra white light, remind yourself, I am safe,
Right.
And these things you get to take off the nerves or whatever when you get a little, and it happens,
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever this was, I felt it come up right behind me. I mean, like breathing on my neck behind me. I wouldn't turn around to look at it. And all of a sudden, I am chanting to myself, I am white light. I am white light. I still don't know where that came from. But it was so intense. And I just sat completely still, waiting for this to be over. And then it went past me. And it's over to the other side of the room. And now I can see it. And think of what Gollum from Lord of the Rings looks like.
Yeah.
Moving around on all fours. And skinny and scrawny like that. But it was like one solid matte color, kind of a dark brown. But I'm watching that now move around the room.
Ew.
Once we left that room, you couldn't get me back in the basement. This was so intense. And the following day when we went out, um, I'm seeing dead people. But for the most part, they're still. I'm seeing, I can describe, but I'm seeing like a silhouette, or I'm seeing the back of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the friend I was with kind of, it was so intense. It was kind of taking you over. I mean, she got mad at me at one point, I guess rightfully so. We're in one location, and everything in my being, it's like low to the floor, low to the floor, low to the floor. I literally got out of my chair and I am now laying on the floor. Okay, as they're talking about this one room, and because something happened there, and yeah, I kind of found out some really nasty stuff happened at the floor level in that room,
Oh,
and
really?
I'll kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
And um,
Ugh.
we went through different, and I'm seeing anything from, what looked like a mother sitting next to her soldier son wearing blue, to seeing a boy in short pants, more colonial style, down in a different basement. And this, it didn't stop.
Yeah.
We were there for the convention, and we were going to stay 2 extra days because we had the time. We ended up the day after. This was so hard on me. We packed up at 9 o'clock at night and drove the 6 hours home because I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I was vibrating. It wasn't shutting off, and I was afraid, is this ever going to turn off?
Yeah.
And it did, and it took me about a week to straighten out.
God.
And that's how it started. And over time, I would just see them,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start feeling their emotions and their feelings. Um, Still, one of my favorites was in a dentist's office. I had bitten down on something hard and literally had knocked off like a front third of a tooth. And I'm
Yeah.
getting ready to do a presentation in like 2 days. I'm freaking out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, all of a sudden, do I have to go and get a cap? What are they going to do? Um, I call the dentist. He gets me in the next day. He looks at me and says, not a problem. I got a filler, 45 minutes. You're done. You're out of here. Oh my God, the relief that I felt. Okay. So he leaves his the room to
Mm-hmm.
go and get what he has to do. Now all of a sudden, I'm seeing somebody standing in the corner. I'm seeing someone that looks like your classic grandma, complete with the fuzzy slippers, curly hair. You can see the little ruffles in the bottom of her dress, and she's just standing in the corner looking incredibly pleased. She's got her hands folded in front of her, and I'm going, okay, so I'm looking away. And I'm kind of looking back, and there she is, and the energy that's coming off her, the beaming, the happiness, the pride that this woman felt. She was just beaming, uh,
Really?
and that's what I could feel. She was so proud of this, of the dentist, of this man,
Uh-huh.
and they kind of know what I do there. And so when they were all finished, the assistant was there with me, and I just simply asked, "Is his mom still alive?" And she said, "Yeah, he's got a lousy relationship with her, but his grandma has passed, and they were incredibly close." So that was grandma
Yeah.
being incredibly proud
Of
of
her
him.
grand. Oh
And I
my
never
God.
let them know. This is where you got to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't want him to know what happened to me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been fair. And I was able to ask her a gentle question and get my answer without
Yeah.
letting her know either.
Raising any suspicion. Yeah.
And but that's kind of an early memory, and that's the kind of thing as this progressed over time, over
Mm-hmm.
years, and then you got to decide: am I going to accept this? Is it real? Is it not in my head?
Yeah.
And it's not my imagination. And learning to differentiate it takes time.
Yeah.
And then decide. Then are you going to accept it and develop it, or are you going to close it down? And I eventually decided I'm going to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And it progressed to seeing the move, to getting a few words. And after spending, a year or so of classes with other mediums, you realize that, yeah, this isn't in my head. I'm doing what they're doing. And
Yeah.
by 2018, it was regular enough, and I was comfortable enough, and I'm accurate enough that, I do readings,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful thing when you can help somebody connect and give them some closure, or just knowing that they are still there
Yeah.
and that the love is still there. And recently I've been having a lot of dogs show up,
Oh,
and
really?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I would love that. I think that would
I,
be really cool.
Right.
but to see the animals come in, and I've even been on my Facebook page when I'm doing readings. Um, if there's a situation that's a good story,
Mm-hmm.
that I can go and build into that. And I've had two that I've posted a short story, with the client's permission, that a dog came in and under unique circumstances. And you get the very standard stuff you would expect in a reading, but sometimes things are unique enough or different enough that they
Yeah.
actually you can retell them as a short story. But
Oh,
it's very gratifying. It is just so gratifying to connect, and it still blows my mind that this happens, that I can do this, and that I can pull this out of thin air, that I can go and
hmm
see somebody.
that
But the
was going to
one
be
thing
my next question is does it ever become old hat? Or are you always just still constantly amazed that
I am
you have this?
constantly amazed,
Okay.
constantly. And one nice thing about how mine works, and every medium is different. I have not yet found two that read the same way, they get
Yeah.
their information the same way.
Yeah.
And if you ever run across a medium that says they're 100% accurate, say, oh, that's very nice, goodbye, because nobody is. If you're doing 80%, you're doing really well. So that's something to keep in mind when you're working with a medium. We can't get everything right.
Yeah.
It's just not how it works. Matter of fact, Lilydale, the big spiritualist community,
Yeah.
that's their level. If you go in there and they test you to see if you are good enough to read at Lilydale, 80% is their accuracy level.
Really?
That's what I shoot for. That's
Wow.
well, that's you got to have a goal, and that's
True. And
I shoot for.
it's it's kind of, I mean, it's sort of like any other talent. Like you work at it, you practice at it, you get better. I kind of look at it, I kind of regard it as a muscle. You keep working at it, you keep exercising it, it's going to get stronger.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
it's practice and recognizing things that are new.
Yeah.
I'm still having new experiences. I'm having things happen that I've never seen before, and you just got to kind of go with it and learn to throw logic out the window, no matter what comes through, um, because it's not supposed to make any sense to me. That's not what I'm here for. And
Right,
you
right.
never know what may make a lot of sense to that person. So
Hmm.
that's all part of it too.
Yeah.
Is just no matter how ridiculous it may sound, you just got to say it.
Yeah.
And it's just all part of the process. It's a huge learning curve,
For sure.
and it's something I take a lot of enjoyment, and I'm proud of what I can do.
Good.
You know, it's
Good.
it's it's important.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Laura, I know you had a question for her with regard to her abilities as far as like the support that she gets.
Yeah, so when you first came out as a medium, do you feel like you were given support, or did you think you didn't when you made the decision to go public? Did you like were people more supportive or not supportive? Were you
Yeah,
getting
that's a
like,
good question because it seems scary to be like,
hey, I can do,
sorry, Laura,
yeah, it's
come
like
out of the
it's almost
psychic
like come out of the
closet.
closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, in a weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Very different kind of way, but yeah, just saying,
Yeah.
hey, I think I can do this, and I'm feeling good about it, like kind of like what you were just saying. But on the accuracy level, like when you feel like you get there and you start telling people, are they like, she's full of shit, or Do you think they
Yeah.
were more
For the
accepting?
most part, it's been good because th- there were 7 years between the time that I had my first experience and that I
Hmm.
felt I was ready and good enough and consistently good enough to be public about it. My family knew, they were
Hmm.
accepting. It also kind of runs in the family as I'm finding out more history and such.
Oh, really?
They
Oh,
they
that's
kind of
cool.
they kind of look at me like, okay, that's nice, all right, but it was, you know, you can see that open-minded skeptic in some, more so the male part of the family.
Sure, sure.
Um, but my friends, they knew what I'd been working on and what I'd been practicing. And I even had one friend that would go and get complete strangers for me. And I would go over to her house, and for a very small amount of money, you don't, if you're putting the time into this, charge something. It was like when I was practicing,
Yeah.
it's like here, $10, something, just something because you got to put a value on it. They knew I'm practicing and I'm asking for more practice.
Yeah.
And I did quite a bit of that in the beginning as she got some strangers. And I had a few tough experiences. Probably the worst one was the two different ladies that came in, and the two people that they wanted to talk to that both came through were both murder victims.
Yeah.
That was a moment when I stopped and thought, is this what I really want to do?
Yeah.
That was a real tough, because, the way I work is like, tell me nothing, tell me absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I might ask you as I go, does this make sense? Just yes or no. And at the end, tell me whatever you want. At that point, I like to know. And then finding out about they were, but it made sense of the reading
Yeah.
when I found out that they were murder victims.
Oh God.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you run into that. Suicide's another one that you see people struggle with on this side and on the other side.
I
Some
would imagine.
adapt it really well, and some of them are still having a hard time. It's such a huge range when
Yeah.
people come through, happy and loving, because whoever you are in life, you're the same person when you're dead. It's that simple. If you
Yeah.
were a great person, if you were an SOB in life, you still are. That
Yeah.
doesn't change. And it takes a long time for that part of your personality to change, if it ever even does.
Yeah. Your soul is your soul, and it
Yeah,
it carries with you. Yeah.
yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
So it's been an interesting experience.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So now you had talked about you were practicing. What kind of training, as far as like any classes or anything like that, that you may have taken to strengthen your abilities? Did you do any of that?
well, what really helped is I found a spiritualist church.
Oh,
If
okay.
you want to find real mediums, and it gives you a chance to go and spend time around them, get to know them, watch them work, and then you start to go and see the similarities in what they do and what I can do. And they're also validating, because I like to consider myself an evidential medium.
Yeah.
It matters for me to go and give you some kind of evidence
Yeah.
that um, that this is real. That's very important to me. And I spent a good year with them, and they were doing like a weekly get together, and it was kind of a meditative night, and then we would just kind of readings and pop up and stuff would just, you know, it was some great conversations, and it made me realize that I was further along than I realized.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it was just nice making those kind of connections. So look for a local spiritualist church,
Okay.
um, because the last 30 minutes of a service are readings. They're short, they're kind of what they call a meet and greet,
Okay.
and they'll last 2 or 3 minutes. And not everybody will get a reading, they'll get as many in as they can in a half an hour. Um, but watching them do it, having my own opportunity to stand up and give those readings, there was a lot of wonderful practice
Really? Okay.
through that. So it's something, it's a good place to learn because you're going to find some really genuine people
Yeah.
there. They're they're on a high. They really believe in the mediumship and giving the messages and making the connections with spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I just their philosophies were something that I really they resonated with me. The
Mhm.
idea that we have an infinite intelligence.
Yeah.
That's how they refer to, whatever is above that keeps an eye on us and all of that. Because the idea of a God has never resonated me my entire life. So infinite intelligence, I mean, that covers all your bases, really.
I mean, it kind of does.
Yes, it does. And it's whatever words, that's what it really comes down to. What words resonate with you that just sit right.
Yeah.
And that's what you go with.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Laura, you're up.
Okay. So what do you think is like the biggest myth or like a stereotype that you have encountered while being a psychic medium? You kind of touched on them a little bit, that you guys are all, that there's the 100% person over there, or that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, so what do you think that has been the hardest one for you personally?
Well, when you say you are, it's like, ooh, you've got special magic powers, Um,
Spooky.
there's almost like, oh my God, you're a medium, and it's like, yeah, I am, and I shop at the grocery store just like you and do everything else,
Mm,
and we have a gift, and sometimes people get just overly wowed
mhm,
Yeah.
by it, and sometimes, you do a reading, and they really hope that somebody is going to come through, and whoever's going to come through is going to come through. And you never know who it's going to be, where in friends or family it might be. I've had some crazy situations I've had to explain about. I watched somebody tap dancing coming in, all right? So this older guy, seeing him tap dancing, he's got the suit on, he's got the spats, the whole bit, and he's coming forward, he's coming forward. And then I, and I'm just watching him coming in, and it's like, okay, you got to go and tell you, this is what I mean. Whatever it is, you just have to go and spit it out, all right?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
it turns out that she had an uncle who was very much tap dancing, loved to do it, performed, and she had recently been thinking about learning how to tap dance.
Wow.
Oh
And that's
wow, that's pretty cool.
what came through. And this is some of the crazy stuff. I've had people come through. I've seen angels come through, animals come through. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, you never know what's going to happen. And it's, depending on the reading, there's been times where, I've got the box of tissues and we're both crying, the
Hmm.
tears are pouring on both of us.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You're going through a lot of emotions. You're helping people. It's a catharsis of a sort,
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
and it's kind of special for me when I feel really super intense love coming from somebody. It fills me,
Yeah.
and I get that feeling, and I'm speaking their words. Um, at the last fair I did, there was somebody who came in, and he came in right away, and something new that I've been trying. Just you got to keep trying different things to try to get the people that they want to come in. I ask for, what is a keyword? What is a place? What is something that is just going to matter between the two of you that isn't going to really tell me anything? And that made him pop right up. And I won't go into what the words were. The first one was a location, was a city. Then there was kind of a made up word, and he's coming in really, really loud. And by the time there was this third word, which was kind of it was just kind of a cutesy word. I am sobbing at that point, and I just because of and I'm just what he is communicating, and I'm just saying I love you, and I'm saying all the things that he's saying.
Sorry.
Woohoo! Okay, lots of love there. And only to find out that she had been widowed for only 3 months after 33 years of marriage.
Oh God.
So, but you know what? It was wonderful because he's still there. And I
Yeah.
was surprised he'd only been over for 3 months because he was so well adapted.
Oh
But
really?
as I learned more of their relationship and how they were in life, I can understand why he had assimilated so well,
So
so
well.
quickly.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that in 3 months. That's something that someone's been across for 2 or 3 years. But she explained enough that it made sense to me
Yeah.
he was why he was so comfortable already. And it was a case of he was ready to go.
Yeah.
He, you have an illness and he was ready, but it was a beautiful reading, even though we're both sobbing.
Right.
But to me, it was just that gift that I was able to give her to let her know that he is still there
Yeah.
and will be there because love never dies.
No.
It's that simple. And grief is the price we pay for love.
I'm
It's
always saying that.
That's the other part of it. But
Hmm.
um, if things go well, we have that love in our lives a hell of a lot longer than we have the grief in our lives. So that's why
That's
we
true.
do it.
Yeah. That's very true. Um so we've talked about so much tonight on the show, but I mean, I'm so inspired by you. And so I want to know for our listeners, I want to ask you two pieces of advice. One, what is your main piece of advice that you would give somebody that wants to focus their time and their energy into spirit photography? What is the best piece of advice you could give somebody new to it?
Get out in the field all times a day, use daytime, use daylight, and it's taking a lot of photos again. Always 3, 4 or 5. Follow your gut, especially if you go and get a blur or something in. And take hundreds of photos, but especially use the daytime. That's where I've had just an insane amount of success.
Okay.
Very, very little late. And just get out and have fun. Be different. Nobody else
It's true.
is probably going to go and have a still camera. Cell phones work. I recommend picking up just a decent point and shoot.
Okay.
That's I've got what I call a high end point and shoot
Okay.
set on automatic everything. I let the camera do the thinking. I use the flash as little as possible, but it's just get out there and take a lot of pictures and see what happens.
Okay. Okay.
Have fun with it.
Okay. And
And especially
then,
if you're not real techie,
yeah.
just a good point and shoot camera, we all can do that.
Yeah. And they are
Right.
not that expensive anymore. So you
No,
could
they
go,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then the second piece of advice is, what is your advice for those of us who are just coming into and learning about our abilities? What is your main piece of advice for folks like me?
Find like-minded people. Find friends. Find the ones that will listen to you, that will help you through this, that will help you practice, that will listen to your stories, that will give you the advice that you know are in your corner. And yeah, I believe you. I know what this is like. and just to help with the experience. Some people, and then it's going to take time. Everybody's time is different in development.
Yeah.
Um, some people, it can happen quite quickly, which can be very overwhelming. Some of us, it kind of draws out.
Yeah.
The way it did for me, it kind of came in stages. And how often you get information varies too. But find find that special tribe. Find those other people who are mediums that are willing to help, that are willing to mentor, or
Mm-hmm.
just be someone that can listen to your concerns, your questions. That's important. Get the right people around you,
Yeah.
and the ones that are kind of looking at you like, okay, she's got a ticket to the funny farm coming up. You know what? Those are the people you don't tell about. You
Yeah.
don't bring to that part of your life. You want the ones that are going to be positive on your journey. That's really important.
Yeah.
The ones that understand it and will let you develop at your pace.
Okay. Okay. Well, I definitely have that. And like I said, Laura knows and I'm actually going to be talking about this on Andrea's show. I'm going to be on her show next week.
Yay!
Um, and she wants to focus on my newfound abilities of being an evidential medium. And
Good.
Laura knows because Andrea has her own gifts, right? And one of her gifts is that she is able to kind of unlock a person's ability for mediumship if they have it, or sometimes, just a deeper sense of empathy or what have you. Erin, her assistant Erin, and I have talked a lot about this, but Andrea just has this innate
She's got an
ability.
excellent technique that she
Yes.
has been shown in assisting to open the third eye.
That's exactly what it is. Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
And that's what she did for me. And the weekend that she did it, I was bombarded with just a ton of information, sort of, for lack of a better description, being downloaded into my head.
Yes.
And I called Laura, and Laura and I have been friends for a very, very long time, long before she was ever on the podcast. And she is somebody that we have shared the best times of our life together and the worst times of our lives with each other. And we are just very best friends. And so even though she's a skeptic, and even though she has a very healthy sense of just sort of like logic and reason, and just making sure that I knew I could go to her and be like, hey, I'm actually going crazy now, so I don't know what to do. I could go to her with that. And I called her and I was hysterical and I was crying and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I had like these images in my head and it was nuts.
Yeah.
But Laura is very much that person for me, as well as my mother, my best friend. So I do have a core group of people that have been surrounding me in this entire process from the very minute it started happening, because
And that's what you need. And sometimes things will be overwhelming. And to have the friends that you can go and say, I just need to talk.
yeah,
I just need you to listen. I don't need any feedback. Just listen. And
Yeah.
and when I'm finished, all I need to hear is, okay.
yeah,
And that's really important, because
Yeah.
that's also how we sort stuff out in our heads, how we get this these incredible layers of emotion that
yeah.
happen, and they build up, and sometimes you'll have a dam break over something that you never imagined. And it's just what can happen.
Yeah.
But that's important, and to be able to say up front if that's what you need,
Yeah.
and express what you need. Sometimes it's like, help me decipher, help talk me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
1,000. And Laura's done that a number of times, because I've just been like,
That's my other job title, is talk Carrie off the ledge.
Yes, it is.
Very important. And
It is. She does it to me too. It's not one-sided by any stretch of the
oh, I'm
imagination.
sure it's not. And it's the type of thing that just looking at this, I can see that you are grateful for having each other. I
Yes.
get, the gratitude in just being there for each other.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Yes, she's one of the greatest loves of my life. I would do anything in the world for her. But and yeah, we do. We talk each other off of our ledges. Mine are a little bit more weird and, colorful ledges than, she's probably been used to. But yeah,
That's all
she's,
part of it,
yeah,
that's all part
It's
of it.
good.
it
It's
is. Yeah.
all good. That's, we bring different things to each other,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's part of what is so good about our relationship too, is that we're different from the, your run-of-the-mill friends, obviously, our connection, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably different than a lot of the other people that you come in contact with as far as like
Yeah.
what my belief system is, or how,
Yeah,
what I'm
and
gonna
you're
give you
just
back,
so,
etc.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's another reason why the show is so successful now that you have joined it. Archie was a very popular, my guest host prior to Laura joining the show was my childhood best friend, Archie. And we've been friends for most all of our lives, but he decided he wanted to take a step back from the show, and Laura was there to step into his very big shoes, and she's filled them perfectly. And the show is doing so well. She's got her own fan base that she's been able to cultivate since she's been on the show, and our dynamic is just as close and successful as mine was with Archie. And I think that's really important, because had it not been, the history of a haunting probably wouldn't have continued, because the fans would have missed him too much, and yet they embraced Laura immediately, and now she's got her solid little core of fans that are always Team Laura, which is so annoying, and but so it is very important to have a group of people that you feel confident in discussing things with, and Julie, you are very, very much part of that for me in my trying to figure out how to navigate this crazy road that starts with psychometry, and it makes me wonder what I'm going to get in my head when I pick something random up and then do stupid things. Like, Julie, I did something stupid when we were in Paris.
Which thing?
I mean, a number of stupid things. We went to the
I thought you were going to say Gettysburg, so now I'm excited that it's Paris. All right, go on.
Oh, yeah, Gettysburg too, but that can be an off-show conversation. So I told you before we started recording that my primary ability is psychometry, which for those listening and watching, psychometry is the ability to pick up an object and know its history or something about its history. You get a flash of whatever.
And that's very common in the beginning.
Yes, it's evolved from that. But so we went to the Paris catacombs, and
Oh, lucky you.
I had the best time. Me and her niece, we had the best time. Laura's kind of claustrophobic-y, so she was just like, let's get through this now. Kind of charged on ahead.
Before, so I knew what I was getting into. I was like, I'm going with you because I love you guys, but I don't really want to.
I don't really want to go.
Like,
She
really
was just
far
sort of
down
like,
ground,
eh.
and it's just
Yeah.
it's small.
They don't let you touch any of the bones.
Okay.
But I was curious. So I touched a skull, and I pulled my hand away after a few seconds, like the skull burned my hand. It didn't, but what I saw was that particular individual, I saw her death from the plague. And I watched her in a flash take her last breath, and then knew her insides were liquefying in that last breath. It was one of the goriest, smelliest, horrific things I have ever been a part of. I regretted it immediately. Laura's like, what? And I was like, plague victim, let's just go. And like, and then I was moving out of there pretty quickly. I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to see what I'd get.
And I understand that. You know what? I'd have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I did. There would be that moment of weakness when it's like, I'll be very gentle. I'm just going to touch.
Yeah. You know what?
Just a little bit. You know what?
It wasn't even like a tiny, like, I didn't even just go like, I was like whole like hand on the skull and for maybe 5 seconds. And then I was just like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. She's like, what? I'm like, plague victim. But it's something that I see every night since we got home. I see it. It was her last breath.
Okay.
And
but remember that
the
that's
smell.
her memory.
Yeah.
That's not yours.
Right. The smell was also something that I wish I could forget.
Now that's a neat surprise.
Yeah.
And you can just simply tell this memory that, okay, I'm done. I've experienced you. I'm done. You can leave.
Yeah. And I'm super sorry.
I no longer need to keep this memory because it's not mine.
Thank God too, because that it was awful. And there's one
but
I
but you will retain certain parts of things that happen. I'm very visual in my readings. I remember very little of what I say. But anything that I have seen and everything's third eye, everything that happens.
Yeah.
I can recall what I've seen, probably 90% of everything I've done in all these years of readings. If I just go back to that moment for a little bit, I can go and fully describe like it happened last week, even though it might have been 10 years ago. That's something you will find, that there are certain things that will imprint.
Yeah.
So, and that can be tough because I know what a rough one is like. One of my first moving things that I saw was in a cemetery and watching a man beat a woman to death.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, this was one nasty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And he knew that I could see the house we were staying at, a couple of 100 yards away. I couldn't be outside even on that side of the house, even though the cemetery was probably a football field away.
Yeah.
I couldn't be on that side of the house because he knew I was there.
Yeah. See, that's.
And you know what? And it goes away and gets better in time. This is still very fresh.
Yeah.
And as you have more experiences, that will help push that to the side.
That's true. And, and Laura will be the first to agree that, my motto for this lifetime that I'm currently living is I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did it anyway to see what would happen. It's literally
Right.
so much of my.
So you.
Yes, it is very much me.
The time I've had a chance to spend with you in person, yeah, you need the T-shirt. That really brings you up really, really well.
Yeah, it really does. And
Yes, and I'm usually like, don't poke the bear, don't poke the bear, don't poke the bear.
And I'm
She's
all
like, poking the bear.
just real quiet.
It's a little bear. It's just a little bear.
Just a real light touch jab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not poking, I'm petting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and most of the people, my mother, even my son, my best friend, everybody that knows me well enough knows that, well, that's who I've always been, and I'm never ever going to change, even though I always regret it. I always do.
Do you though?
Well,
You really do.
the plague victim, I do. That was kind of gross,
A little,
but
the experience is good for you, I think, in the long
I
run.
think so too. I think it is too.
Weird way, yeah.
I just,
And you got to believe that.
yeah.
In its own weird way. And you won't do that again too soon, will you, huh?
No, absolutely will not. No,
Yeah.
absolutely will not. Laura, what is your final question for Julie for tonight?
So my final question is, what do you think is the scariest location that you have ever photographed? Or maybe the one that gave you the biggest like heebie-jeebies kind of, feeling. Because I don't know if scary is a thing, so much
Yeah, just
Right.
with
something.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
kind of gave you that
Well,
like ick feeling that,
okay. Sadly, the building no longer exists.
Oh.
I've gone out to a Paracon 6, 7 years ago. Andrea was at it, and I decided to be crazy and drive out to Ohio and go to it. And I wish I could think of the name of the building. It was a wonderful 3-story building, and even that night, the people in the basement, they found some bones. We had the cops there. It turned out to be animal
Oh,
bones.
oh, thank God.
But what was
I
what
was
was
like, holy
really
cow.
intense, this was as my mediumship was coming in.
Oh, sure.
And the other thing you'll notice if you are around other mediums, it's like an antenna. Your abilities will be stronger. That is something that was really obvious to me in the first few years.
Okay.
And I had gone back into the kitchen area with another woman, and it's all modern kitchen and all that. And I'm seeing walk across the room, I'm seeing a young man, maybe 15 to 17, wearing very tattered looking clothes, only went down to his knees, very rough looking clothes. This is somebody who's doing really awful labor, really hard stuff.
Okay.
And we both saw him walk across the room. And it's like, wow, and we're commenting on it. And then he turns and panics. It's like, how can you see me? How can you see me? And we're kind of following him across the room. And he literally goes to a corner of the other side of the room and gets in a defensive pose. He is so terrified that we can see him. So we immediately, both of us, our hands up in the air, backing up. Sorry, we did not mean to scare you. And we mean you no harm and all of that. But to have that kind of an interaction, and that's the only time I've had that happen, where they have freaked out at us.
Right.
And at that point, I was done. I'm done for the night. I'm not going back in the building tonight. That is too much intensity. And this poor guy, this poor spirit is in there panicking and
Scared.
hyperventilating probably too.
Yeah.
So he was very scared that, how did we see him? He just,
Wow.
if I got to say
That's
something
crazy.
was scary, watching him literally like a scared animal going down into a defensive pose.
Wow.
Yeah. This poor young-
Man.
So yeah,
That's
if
wild.
that was, yep.
That
I've never had a spirit react like that. I'm gonna have to go and think if I can do some digging where it was out in Ohio.
yeah, for sure.
7. Andrea was talking there, and I just decided I like a road trip, and it was out in Ohio.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Ohio's got some screwed up places, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
be at the Mansfield Paracon next year.
Oh, you are.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we got the minute they opened up the vendor applications, we jumped right in because it's one of those Paracons that like goes so quickly.
I've been to that location. Have you been to the location before?
No,
Oh, it's
No. Yeah.
wonderful. All right, of course, you've seen the Shawshank Redemption movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where it was filmed.
Yes.
And it's an amazing place. I've been there once, and
The size of it, there was nothing. I have never been to any place. And I've been to Alcatraz, I've been to Winchester Mystery House, but there was
Yeah.
nothing with just the sheer size that blew me away, like Trans-Allegheny. And I
Oh,
feel
Yeah.
like Ohio State Reformatory is going to be just like that. Is it bigger, do you think?
It's not as big as Trans-Allegheny,
It's not.
but
Okay.
it is quite big. But it's got a very brutal history.
Yes.
Um,
Worse than Trans-Allegheny,
there's
I would venture.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And there are sections that are very cage-like.
Okay.
When they have to go and cage in the catwalks because the guards would go and because the prisoners, given the chance, would push the guards over to their death.
Yeah.
So, it's a
Yeah.
neat place.
Yeah. Yeah. We're really looking forward to it. We're doing that. And then as we were talking before the show, we're hoping to be able to book vendor tables at the Gettysburg Bash this year, which is in July this year. They're
Okay.
doing Christmas in July. So they're asking everybody to not only bring a food donation, but an unwrapped toy.
Okay.
So
Well, I will certainly talk to you more about it. I really want to get down to
yeah.
the Battlefield Bash this way, one way or another.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Oh, it looks wonderful. It looks like a lot of fun and more
Yeah.
laid back and just,
Yeah.
a
You
little
know,
more social, for lack of a
yes.
better word, than it's investigative but not as heavy
Hmm.
investigative
Yeah, for
and
sure.
just more meet and greet and getting to know people. We
It
get to
Yeah.
was,
know them.
yeah, it was so lovely. We had the best time, and then we all went out for dinner and came back. And then, Ron Yacovetti has really pioneered the direct radio voice. And
Yes, he
so
has. Yes,
we
he
got
has.
the wonderful opportunity to sneak into one of the ballrooms there, like late at night. It was late, Laura, right? It was like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, I was late
Late
when we started.
when we
'Cause I
started,
don't think we
yeah.
stopped till close to
three
3.
3 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah, we did
Ron
it
was
for a couple
showing us. We
hours.
were doing it with Ron and Lourdes, and an opportunity to just see exactly what it was and how it worked. And we couldn't, it was another one of those things where once we, it was sort of like Magic Eye, but for the hearing. Like it was kind of hard to pick things out, but then we started, oh, I hear this, and then it was just all situational awareness, all relatable, and we just couldn't get enough of it. And before we knew it, we've been doing it for like 3 hours, and I was like, "What? Oh God, we've got to go home and
Yeah,
drive
we need to go to
home.
sleep,
We got to
yeah,
go to
that's
bed."
the point.
It's yeah. So it really is a lovely, lovely atmosphere. We had such a great time. Everybody was super nice, super friendly, including some of the celebrities that were, Dave Schrader was there and Shane Pittman, and everybody was just having a
It
great
looks like
time.
a
And
marvelous group of people, a lot of people all coming together for, a really good cause. I mean, it's a benefit event, which is nice
it
to see.
is. Yes. And I think this year, I read that they had raised $18,000 for Wounded Warriors.
Oh my
That's great.
gosh.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah, so they're incorporating a toy drive because they're doing Christmas in July next year. So that's going to be so much fun. I'm sure they're going to have some sort of Christmas themed parties and things like that. Like this year was like an 80s theme party one night, and then I can't remember what the other one was, but Laura got to take her picture by the Batmobile, and like we had the best time. We just had the
Yeah,
It's
we just
just,
have
but that's a good point. We need to have fun with doing this. It's not all
Yeah.
just serious investigation, blah, 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 blah.
right.
You got to have fun. It's got to be fun, or why are we
Yeah.
why are you even doing it?
constantly doing
Yeah,
this?
that's what I think a lot of people don't realize about the investigations is like, yes, we're serious about, being respectful and sound and, trying to obviously capture evidence is the reason we're there. But we also make jokes and it's still funny, it's not all like super serious all the time, like there is very much a sense of lightheartedness and,
Right.
and to it, like we're doing this because we love it and we enjoy it. So there's,
Yeah.
we're out there having fun too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Julie, tell us what is coming up for you. What do you got in the works?
Well, I've kind of hit a slow spell right now. I just had a weekend up at the the Conjuring House,
Yep.
which was, I had a couple of days up there, which was absolutely delightful. I mean, October's been busy with doing a couple of psychic fairs. I've
Oh, cool.
a lot of local stuff. I found a store, as I would put it, it's across town that I'm reading at a couple of times a week now,
Oh,
and I'm
cool.
just looking to expand. And yeah, I have every intention to get myself to the Battlefield Bash this year, and I'm just going to start looking at what events are, up in part of the my part of the country, up
Yeah.
in the New England states, and not to, I kind of go to
God.
stuff that I can drive to,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
as far as Gettysburg, and just to look more at New England, and just getting out there in different ways, doing
Yeah.
more with mediumship, and just seeing where life takes me right now. So,
That's wonderful.
got
That's so
nothing's hard
wonderful.
on the books, but boy, I got some irons in the fire.
That's wonderful. That's
Good.
wonderful. You guys, you can also follow Julie. You can go to her website, juliegriffin.psychicmedium.com. And if I was checking out your site earlier today, now can folks book readings with you through your site?
Yes, they can. There's a way
Okay.
that you can go and write to me,
Okay.
and I can do them over Zoom, FaceTime. I need to be able to see you. That's
Okay.
the only one thing, because I need to be able to see what's around you. That's how it works for me, because
Okay.
I'm just that visual. But yes, I go and do readings
Okay.
in person, or other ways.
Yeah, and you know what? It was funny too because Erin Bush, she's a Reiki healer, and we were like, well, how can you do Reiki if you're like just over the computer? And she was like, COVID really made a lot of things possible, wherein everybody had to isolate and people had to come up with different means of things like like you said, like being able to see somebody to do a reading, and she can do her wonderful Reiki magic, which she does and helps me out with a lot, especially lately, um, over just over Zoom. So
I've experienced it with, not even with Zoom. It's just like, later on tonight, when I know you've probably headed off to bed, I'm just going to go and give you a boost. And it's amazing. It
yeah,
is amazing when you've got a skill, when you've got a gift.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
Space and time don't exist.
They really don't. They really don't. And it's been very unnerving and upsetting at times for me, but I wouldn't ever. I have no intention of stopping it or blocking it. I have had a very close friend of mine that has gifts much stronger than what I've got since he was a child. And he hated it so much and couldn't figure out a way to shut it off except to start drinking. So I know how I know how difficult it can be to shut it off if they're insistent that they need to talk to you. I have found through him that they will talk to you whether you want them to or not, and that was the only way that he could figure out how to numb it, to quiet him down. And I don't even want to do that. I'm excited about this, even though I'm not used to it, and it's very alarming. But I am fully invested in plowing forward and doing like you did, and just kind of practicing and growing it and strengthening this new muscle that has been awakened. So
And becoming familiar
yeah,
with it.
All right.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
because the one thing that I'm grateful for myself, at least, is that when somebody wants a reading, it's like a door opens and poof, it works. Okay.
yeah,
It's not like I'm out everywhere and everything's coming into me and everything's clamoring. I don't have that kind of an overload
yeah,
from everywhere. Be You've also got the ability to go and say, no. I've had times when things have walked in, stories for other days, and it's like, I haven't got time for this right now. No.
yeah,
The one odd thing that happens every so often is I'm out in a public place and some perfect stranger just starts talking to me about somebody who's deceased. And that is the flag that it's like, okay, let's just wait and see who's going to come in.
Yeah.
And somebody does.
Yeah.
And then I have to go and make the decision. Do I keep my mouth shut? Do I say something?
Yeah.
And most of the time, I have said something.
Okay.
And it's worked out well.
Yeah.
Things as simple as being at the deli counter, and I'm asking for the guy I'm getting some sliced turkey, and it's like, yeah, shit, I want it real thin, and he's going on, oh yeah, my grandma always wanted it that way because it makes the flavor better. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting for grandma to show up, and it turns out, in reality, it was mom, was
Oh.
who wanted to come through.
Oh.
And so when something is that loud, I will very gently say, I'm a medium. I'm getting a message. Would you like to hear it? And it's usually, yeah. It's usually
Yeah.
very well. You can pick and choose, and I've been okay with it. And people tend to want to hear it. And he was very moved by it. It was a very good one. And probably the funniest part toward the end is he came out from behind and gave me a hug and all of that. And I can go and see the tile in the back of the deli area.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the tile is blue and it's falling off the wall. And now I'm seeing, it's not happening, but this is what I'm seeing.
Right.
And I'm just pointing to where this is happening, which of course means nothing to anybody else.
Sure.
But I'm telling him, I see blue tile and I'm seeing it fall off the wall. And he just starts laughing. It turns out that the last place that she had lived in, who she had lived with, had put up this awful blue tile, as she said. And it always kept falling off the wall anyway. So
Oh
there's
my God.
your evidence. There's your absolute.
Yeah.
And he knew it was mom.
Yeah.
And just to let him know that mom's okay. She is okay. She's crossed over. She's fine. She's okay. And
Yeah.
that's what people need to hear almost every single time, is that
Yeah.
they're okay. They're
Yeah.
not suffering anymore,
They're still
Physical
with
body-
them. Yeah.
Yes, they're still around. Talk to them. They hear us more
Yeah.
than you would ever imagine.
Yeah, and they, you know what, the person doesn't need to be a psychic medium to talk to them.
Absolutely.
They're always around.
They are.
And I think that my best friend Jennifer, she and I have been friends since we were 8 years old. Her grandmother just died a couple of weeks ago. And I think that that's one of the things that is the most comforting to Jennifer, is that she knows that she can talk to Moody anytime, and Moody will always be there to listen. Like, Jennifer doesn't need to have, nobody needs to have psychic medium abilities to just have a conversation with somebody that you love the way that you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just talk to them if you,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you need to, or if you think they might be around, because they are a lot more than you would ever imagine.
Yeah.
And they're always happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, Julie, I'm so glad that you were on our show. I know that we've been trying to get you on the show and kind of coordinate schedules for a really long time. And I'm so glad that we were finally able to do it. And,
Oh, me too.
yeah,
It was great.
yeah, this has been really, really wonderful. And guys, like Laura said, we are going to put some of Julie's pictures up on our social media when we do the promo for the show. This episode is going to drop November 5th, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time and 7 a.m. Pacific time, which, by the way, everybody, we changed clocks this weekend. So Laura, you and I will be 2 hours difference this time. Laura's in Arizona, so we always got to coordinate the time zones.
My cat's trying to break in. You hear that?
I do hear that. That's your cats?
Yep.
Yeah.
He tries to hang on to the thing.
Oh, he did it.
I have those. Oh, maybe it was the dog. I think it was both of them. Now they've started getting in cahoots. Is what's happening.
Aw.
Yeah,
You
it's
had
not that
mentioned-
fun though. Because the cat knocks stuff off the counter and then the dog literally eats all of it, like whatever's happening. He has no. I just caught him eating a geode, so like not eating it,
Oh,
but chewing on it. Like
God.
Listen.
everything goes in the mouth. It's terrible.
Listen, you wanted a puppy.
Yeah.
I know mistakes were made. I
Yeah,
love him. He's
yeah,
adorable,
bad
but-
choices happened.
But I don't think I was quite here. Now here's the cat. See, now that they're both in.
Okay. Yeah.
Ah, there goes the tail. Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna tear it up. I'll tell you what. All right. Well, listen, guys. So yes, you guys can find Julie on her website, and
There's two of them. So more photos are on ghostlyphotographs.com. A lot of stuff we didn't show tonight. So
yeah.
have some fun perusing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? If you have questions for Julie, you have a few more questions you want to ask Julie, go ahead and send them to the podcast. We certainly will get them to Julie and get those answers back to you. You can email us at hoahpodcast@gmail.com or message us on Facebook Messenger. And to that end, Laura, oh, she's got her cat. Hi, Eddie. Do you have the ability to tell everybody where they can find us? Okay, all right.
Little fluffy tail around here.
Okay, not a problem. Where can they follow us if they should choose to do so?
If you would like to follow us, you can do so on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HOAH Podcast. And on the TikTok at HOH Podcast, at HOH Carrie, and at HOAH co-host Laura.
Alrighty, guys, that is it for us. Again, Julie, thank you so much for being on the show. We certainly hope
My
that you will
pleasure.
come back.
Thank you,
too.
ladies.
I'm excited.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, guys, as we always say here at History of a Haunting Podcast, stay safe out there because you never know who
Or what?
is listening and or photo bombing your pictures of abandoned locations. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Good night, all. Thank you.